The Summer Olympics are here, and thousands of athletes are in Tokyo for the 32nd Olympiad. This year marks the 45th anniversary of Boxing Hall of Famer Sugar Ray Leonard's gold medal performance at the Montreal Games in 1976. Leonard sat down with NBCLA to reminisce about those games, the current state of boxing, and a whole lot more.
This is Michael Duarte with NBCLA, and most of you probably know my next interview, my guest, is one of the greatest boxers who ever lived. He won 5 world titles in 5 weight classes and became the first boxer to ever earn more than $100 million in the ring at a time where now that would probably be close to $1 billion by today's inflation rates. But an entirely different generation, a younger generation, a generation of, like myself, know him as a boxing analyst, an actor, a television host, and most of all, a philanthropist. So I want to welcome in my guest, Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard. Thank you for joining us for this quick interview.
Hey, Michael, how you doing, buddy?
I'm very good. So before I get into the questions, everybody here needs to go watch Sugar Ray Leonard's fight against Tommy Hearns in 1981 in Las Vegas. That early lesson that I took from it after it was over, that no matter how bad things get, and this is in the ring or out of the ring, you're never out of the fight. You know what I mean? Like, you never give up. So that's going to segue into my first question, because that was a very inspirational fight for me. As the man in that ring, down on all the cards after 12 rounds, seemingly impossible to win, through the judges' scorecards at that point. What, your left eye swollen shut, needing a miracle, a knockout to win the fight. What was going on in your head? How were you able to dig deeper? What do you remember about that moment, and just how you were able to overcome the adversity that was going on there?
Michael, that's a very good question, because that's what is required and needed to win when you're down. Composure, for sure. And the thing about it, my trainer, Angelo Dundee, gave it the right soundbite. He gave me the right soundbite, I should say. He said, "You're blowing it, son, you're blowing it." But he said it with such, I don't want to say fear or whatever, but it was just the right tone. Because we as fighters, we know when we're losing. We know. We know when the guys are ahead of us by punches. And Angelo said that to me, "You're blowing it, son, you're blowing it." That's all I needed for that little mental, psychological boost.
You've been in memorable fights over the course of your career, including that fight, including obviously the first fight with Roberto Duran in Montreal, where you won the gold medal. And you're probably the best of what they call the Fabulous Four, which includes Thomas Hearns, I just mentioned, Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. So of all 4 of those guys, you fought all of them many times in some cases. Which one of those is your favorite to fight against, and which fight of those 4 guys was your favorite?
To be perfectly honest with you, Michael, none of them. They each had their own significance. They had their own way of competing. Roberto Duran, I tell you, they call him manos de piedras, hands of stone. When he hit me, the first, this is in the first fight, he hit me, and I'm like, who else is in this ring? Because he hit so hard, and it felt like somebody else was in the ring besides the referee. Tommy Hearns, like I gave you, his height, his reach. Tommy was just a freak of nature physically. Hagler, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, was tough, ambidextrous, knockout power in both hands, and he was just a tough guy. Just a seriously tough guy who, if he gets you going, gets you hurt, it's over too, for the most part.
Well, that's going to lead me to a follow-up question in a second here. But because you mentioned Manos de Pietro, the Hands of Stone, right? We all know the Hands of Stone movie that came out about, Roberto Duran's life and career. So 2 quick questions for you. When are we going to see the Sugar Ray Leonard biopic? And what did you think of Usher Raymond's performance of you in that?
I love Usher, man. I thought he put on a good Ray, without question. In fact, we worked together a couple of days. But Usher did a fantastic job. Your next question was what?
When are we going to see the Sugar Ray Leonard biopic?
That's, I think that's on the table right as we speak. Because I always wanted to do my own thing too. I wanted, in fact, I wanted what's called Fabulous Four. Me, Hearns, Hagler, Durant. We all fight, show us, behind the scenes and behind the fence or the face. I said, let's do this before we go, guys. I was joking about that, but Marvin Hagler not being here, the marvelous one not being here, it's going to be really tough. But I think it needs to be shown. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
I agree. I would watch that movie. I'd write that movie. Heck.
Yeah.
So back to the question that came about when you were talking about facing Hagler. That to me, and in all of your press conferences that you led talking up to it, you were dropping seeds, you said, playing mind games with him, trying to get him to change his style a little bit so that it conforted to you in perfect faction. So when it comes to the sport of boxing overall, the greatest that ever do it, it's not just the physical gifts they're given, it's also the psychological ones. So my question to you is, what do you think is more important in your career? Was it just the physical gifts, or was it the psychological part of the sport as well?
I tell you, Michael, one thing can't just do it. I mean, whether you're fast, good hand speed, or if you're powerful, I mean, it all takes, everything needs to come together. Your power, your speed, your chin, solid chin, your movement, your defense. I mean, all these things come together. That's who wins the fight. It's not just one. I mean, one punch, guys hit so hard, that can happen. But the chances of that happening with a top-notch champion, that doesn't happen that easy.